Former Chief Minister Siddharamaiah announced after Congress legislature party meeting that the party would submit petition to Speaker to disqualify the MLAs who have resigned under provisions of the anti-defection law. Karnataka political crisis. All eyes on the Speaker today. Speaking to press after the meeting, he reiterated that the Saffron Party was indulging in horse trading. He said that those who have resigned should return to the party fold and not succumb to inducements or threats. The party, however, has clarified that action would not be sought against Ramalinga Reddy since he has not indulged in anti-party activity. The CLP meeting had 20 absentees, including those who have resigned. Of them, 7 had sought prior permission. Congress later started their dharna against the BJP's anti-democratic actions. The Supreme Court on Tuesday agreed to examine the substantial question put forth by the government as to whether illegal immigrants to India can even be considered for refugee status. A bench led by Chief Justice of India Ranjan Gogoi was hearing petitions filed by 2 Rohingya men against the government's proposed move to deport their 40,000-strong community in India back to their native land of Myanmar, where discrimination and possibly summary executions await them this year. Solicitor General Tushar Mehta said the primary prayers made in the petition before the court were to stop any proposed deportation and allow the community rights under the international law. But first decide whether they are refugees. Whether illegal immigrants can even be allowed the status of refugees. This is the substantial question here, Mr. Mehta submitted. The court said it would examine the issue and asked the parties and interveners to complete pleadings by the next hearing. The Rohingyas, who fled to India after violence in the state of Rakhine in Myanmar, are settled in Jammu, Hyderabad, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Delhi NCR and Rajasthan. The petitions challenged the centre's move to deport them and said it violated the constitutional guarantee that the Indian state should protect the life and liberty of every human being, whether citizen or not. Moral ambiguity on the Rohingya. The National Human Rights Commission had even issued notice to the government on the proposed deportation. Panic had struck the refugee community following media reports of a statement made by the then Union Minister of State for Home Affairs Kiran Rijiju in Parliament that the central government had directed states to identify and deport illegal immigrants, including Rohingyas. The petition filed in the Supreme Court submitted that the 40,000-odd Rohingyas in the country were registered and recognized by the UNHCR in 2016 and granted refugee identity cards. It said their deportation would violate India's commitment to international conventions that recognize the principle of non-refoulement. This principle of customary international law prohibited the deportation of refugees to a country where they face threat to their lives. During the hearing, Justice Anirudh Bose, on the bench, asked if there were any formal guidelines, legal norms or policy decisions to determine a refugee. Senior advocate Colin Gonsalves, for the petitioners, said the UNHCR conducted intensive questioning of the immigrants to determine whether they had fled persecution or if they had crossed across for sheer economic interests. If the former, they were granted refugee status. 60 to 70% of Rohingyas have got to be refugees, Mr. Gonsalves submitted. The UNHRC report of 2016 on human rights violations and abuses against Rohingya Muslims and other minorities in Myanmar had noted successive patterns of serious human rights violations. Violations to the right to life, liberty and security of the Rohingyas by state security forces and other officials in Myanmar. Violations included summary executions, unforced disappearance, arbitrary arrest and detention, torture and ill-treatment, forced labor, arbitrary arrest and detention of hundreds of Rohingya, including women and children. The Supreme Court on Tuesday refused to intervene in a plea by P. Rajagopal, the proprietor of Saravana Bhavan hotel chain, for extension of time to surrender in a case of murder of his employee 18 years ago. Rajagopal was supposed to surrender on July 7 as per a March 2019 judgment of the Supreme Court, holding him guilty in the case and sentencing him to life imprisonment. Rajagopal had sought further extension of his stay at a private hospital on medical grounds. If he was so ill, why did he not choose to indicate the same during the hearing of his appeal here? Justice N.V. Ramana asked senior advocate Kapil Sibal, who appeared for Rajagopal, on Tuesday. No more adjournments now. Justice Mohan Mazia Shantanagoda, on the bench, observed orally. The employee, Santakumar, was strangled and his body dumped in Tiger Shola forest area by Rajagopal's henchmen. Rajagopal wanted to make Santakumar's wife, Jeevajyoti, his third wife. The Supreme Court had concluded that the steadfast testimonies of Jeevajyoti and her family, the circumstantial evidence, recovery of personal items, such as the wallet and a gold chain of the victim, along with forensic techniques such as the superimposition test to identify the body, undoubtedly pointed to the guilt of Rajagopal and his henchmen. All of them had appealed in the Supreme Court after the Madras High Court had convicted and sentenced him to undergo life imprisonment. The prosecution has proved the complicity of all the appellants in murdering Santakumar by strangulating him and thereafter throwing the body at Tiger Shola. A three-judge bench of Justices N.V. Ramana, Mohan Mazia Shanta Jodar and Indra Banerjee held, dismissing their appeals. The body was identified by Jeevajyoti. The photographs of the victim, his clothes and a scar on his body fully proved that the body was that of Santakumar. The court concluded. Besides, the police used three different methods: video superimposition, visual observation and dental trait superimposition. They all matched. Justice Shantangodar, who wrote the judgment, said someone who is guilty cannot get away with impunity only because the truth may develop some infirmity when projected through human processes. The body of Santakumar was found in the Kodaikanal range in October 2001. It was buried in the Kodaikanal municipal burial ground. Later, the body was identified to be that of Santakumar and a charge sheet filed for offences under Sections 302, murder, 364, abduction, and 201, destruction of evidence, of the IPC, following which the alleged conspiracy came to light.